What's going on, Low Gang? Welcome back to another slappin' vid. Today, surprise, we're gonna be working on Dory. As you can see, summer has sprung. Last week in Seattle, it was pouring rain. This week, it's in the 90s. So I think it's about time to prepare Dory for the summer season. And, you know, I want her looking her best. I want her performing her best in these hot days. And so we're gonna do a bunch of the little overdue things on this car and get her in tip-top shape. It's a great day to work on the car. I'm excited to get going. So we are going to be putting a couple new parts on the car. What's new? This half is functional, this half is aesthetic. So because it is so hot out, I want the cooling system to work flawlessly. And so I got this aluminum water pump pulley to replace the plastic one that's on there. Hopefully that will be a lifetime replacement part. And unlike the plastic one, it probably won't explode. Here is maybe the most boring part we're going to put on. It's a bolt. So this is the idler pulley bolt. If you watched the cooling system rebuild video, you saw that the entire idler tensioner system, whatever, was different on Dory for whatever reason, and we replaced it with an OEM one. The only problem was it didn't come with a long enough bolt, so I had to find one that would kind of make do. Once we get in there, I'll show you why the bolt that I have in there probably isn't the best. We're really risking it for the biscuit right now, but this bolt will hopefully solve the problem. And lastly, we have the alternator cooling duct. You can see that right in there. That has cracked, and it's not a huge deal. Normally I wouldn't care about it, but because it's so hot out nowadays and Dory is not used to it, I want to make sure the alternator is getting enough fresh air. Also, I think that thing was like $10. So, you know, worst case scenario, it's just like a nice new part in the engine bay. Also, we have what hopefully will become a very subtle front lip, and I'll talk about what exactly this is when we install it on the car. Pretty exciting though. Hopefully it works. Maybe we've discovered a new DIY front lip. And the rest of the stuff we're going to be doing today is going to be more about fixing things that are already on the car. So if you remember from the rear end makeover, we installed this rear valance. It wasn't holding too tight, so I literally just put a screw in it. Don't tell anyone about that, by the way. It's embarrassing. This, I'm just gonna find a better system for today so that this thing is rock solid and we don't have a stupid screw in it anymore. The other thing is that the exhaust has started to rattle because for whatever reason they put these little baffle things in here. I don't know if this is hot right now. Nope, we're good. So they put these little baffle things in here, and if you listen, they have loosened up and now they're rattling against the actual tailpipe. It's a really stupid design. I think it's to keep noise down. So I'm gonna try to somehow remove these guys today. And if all goes well, we will have no more rattle and it'll be a little louder. I think those are the main things I want to address today. Hopefully pretty basic stuff. Although every time I think something's basic, it takes, you know, about 4 times as long as I think. But I think I'm just gonna dive in. We're gonna start with the engine bay and then we'll see where that takes us. What the heck? Look at that. That is so much worse than I thought it was. Okay, tensioner is out. I want to explain why I think it's so important to swap this bolt for that bolt. So, like I mentioned, when I was doing this first, I just had to find whatever bolt I could find that had the correct thread count and was long enough. And it's very difficult to find a bolt that is this long at just a normal hardware store that is not all threads. Now, in some applications, this type of bolt is totally fine. However, this is like basically the idler pulley and the tensioner sits right below it. And so once this is mounted up and all of that tension is released back into the system, this tensioner, which has a relatively long lever, that's getting a ton of torsional force like this way because it's being pressed up by the tensioner right below it. There is a pretty sizable flat space to kind of protect against that kind of torsional force, but it makes me a little bit nervous to have a threaded rod where once all of this is tightened all the way up, the highest point of pressure is also threaded. That creates what I think might be a weak point. And over thousands and thousands of miles of vibrations and that constant tension on it, I'm worried that it might fatigue and snap one day. And if that snapped, the entire serpentine belt on the front of the car would be useless, and then the water pump wouldn't work, and neither would the alternator, and the car would like die. It could be fixable, obviously, but if I were, you know, out in the middle of nowhere, that's the type of breakdown that would require getting towed to the nearest mechanic. So preemptively, I am just gonna put the right thing in. This is how it was designed from the factory. I think this will be much stronger. Maybe unnecessary, but you know, it's a peace of mind thing. It's all about mindset, you know? Also, for what it's worth, real quick, I've decided that this time around, I'm not gonna throw in the aluminum pulley without removing the thermostat and everything down here. It's a little tricky to get down there, and when I pulled that plastic one off, it was actually in pretty good shape. It's also lighter than the aluminum one, so next time I have everything apart, I'm gonna make sure that the plastic one is not cracked or showing any signs of fatigue. And then if it is, maybe I'll throw in the aluminum one. But today, we're gonna take it easy, throw in this bolt, then we'll move on to the next thing. Okay, next project is this bad boy. It's front lip time. You see, my one complaint with the design of E36s, literally the only one, is that the bottom of the side skirt, that body line is not carried through. And the bottom of the front bumper, even with a lip, is still maybe, I don't know, ½ inch too high. And like, Dory is not that high off the ground. Like, Dory's kind of low. I scrape on a lot of stuff. But still, the front end looks like a mile off the ground. Now, we've all heard of easy lips. We've all seen them on cars, and you know, we've seen it before. It's been done to death. Nothing wrong with a good easy lip, especially if it's a clean install. But one, they're huge, and two, everyone knows what they look like, so it sticks out, to me at least, as like, oh, it's an easy lip, you know? You get what I'm trying to say. This, I'm hoping, will be a more subtle, more tasteful type of easy lip type thing. Does that make any sense? So this stuff is actually gutter material for RVs. It is made out of PVC. Ugh. So it is this kind of flexible rubber material, and just first impressions, it feels pretty tough, which is great because it's gonna be on the front of the car and it's probably gonna scrape on things. Now, like I said, this is designed for RVs. So if your RV is leaking, you put this along the top edge of your RV, and you can see there's a little channel. You see that? And that channel will catch water and funnel it away from your doors and windows. Now, conveniently, if you look at it from this angle, it's a nice, subtle, ½ inch rounded sort of shape. And it has 3M installed on it right out of the box. So hopefully it'll be a really simple install. And I'm hoping this just adds, you know, a little bit of simple flair to the front of the car, a little black line to kind of define the bottom of the car. It's gonna be tiny. Hopefully it looks tasteful. And of course, I'll leave a link down in the description to this exact stuff if you want to try it on your own car. Alrighty, let's do it. Boom. We're done. That was pretty easy. As you can see, I just had to do a couple relief cuts at both of the corners. And overall, I'd say it has exceeded my expectations. I mean, I was expecting it to look really bad. And it looks less bad than that, I guess. It's super subtle. Like, I don't know if you would notice it if you weren't looking for it, but I'm hoping it just kind of beefs up the front lip a little bit visually. Plus, it can protect this paint, which if you watch the video, it was a pain in the butt to paint this. So it'll be nice to have a little bit of protection on those super steep hills. Also, the adhesive seems to be working really well. It's a nice, like, wide piece of adhesive, much wider than normal easy lips, and easy lips are big and chunky and are much more likely to fall off than this. And if for whatever reason this does fall off, no worries. You know, we got like literally 50 feet of it. Look at all this extra. That only takes like, I don't know what, 5 feet? Also, in case you're wondering, I rubbed it down with 70% isopropyl alcohol just to get some of the grime off before I put the adhesive on. Okay, next order of business is to make this exhaust louder and sound better. Okay, here is what it sounds like right now. Okay, literally, of course, the one time it doesn't rattle is when it's on camera. Normally at low RPMs, it just makes the worst rattling sound. And also all around, it might be hard to tell on camera, but it's a little bit quiet. So what I'm gonna do is try to take these baffles out by taking a grinder just to the inside of this lip, and hopefully I can remove enough material to pull the whole thing out. I genuinely do not know if this is gonna work because I'm not entirely clear on the construction of the muffler, but I think that's how it works. So I'm gonna give it my best shot, and if it ends up rattling more than it did before, then that's okay. I deserve that. That took approximately an hour and a half just to get that thing out. You can see I started here with the Dremel. Basically, turns out, instead of just being welded in right around here like I thought it was, it also has this stupid donut welded all the way back in there. And it's only like 3 little spot welds around the edges, but those are some tough spot welds. I'm debating whether or not to just charge through with the other one or save it for another time because I'm feeling lazy. Either way, no matter how long it takes me, I'll do the reveal right now. You ready? You ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay, both tailpipes are officially modded. Time to see if it made any difference sound-wise. I don't know. I don't know, maybe. Perfect. Boom! Summer makeover done. Kinda. So it's been a couple days since we last talked. The only thing I did not accomplish about this makeover was fixing this little thing. And now the more I'm looking at it, the more I kind of like it. I don't know, it's just so wrong. Like it's such a bad way to do it. So I think I'm just gonna keep it. I'm just gonna hold on to it, hope it doesn't fall off. And if it does, that'd be kind of funny. Now, as you can tell by the general setting and the really loud noises, we are at a car wash. I just washed her off for the first time in a while. She's looking great. I also just did the first half of this kind of like half ceramic coat stuff. It's not nearly as good, obviously, as a actual ceramic coating, but it beads water pretty well. 4th of July. Oh my God, I thought, jeez, I thought it was over. But anyway, I just got the first coat on, which is basically you wet the whole car and then you spray it on and wipe it off. And now I'm just gonna do a second coat where I dampen the entire car, spray it on, and then spray it off. And that should build up a little extra protection. Tomorrow morning, we are going to Wekfest Seattle, which, if you're not familiar with it, is a car show here in Seattle. They also have them all over the country. Seattle is not the only Wekfest, but that's happening at the Seattle Convention Center tomorrow. I'm going. Dory's not going to be in the show. I know. I'm pissed too. Believe me. I'm with you. She should be in it. Maybe we'll bring her next year, but that's going to be next week's video, so tune in next week for that. So we got some cool, fun stuff coming up, a lot of cool car shows coming up, and I am so happy with this summer makeover. I think Dory's in tip-top shape. Also, this thing is holding up remarkably well. I pressure washed the shit out of it, and it's totally fine. It didn't go anywhere. And it's subtle enough too that it doesn't really stick out. Like, it's just a nice little extra touch, you know? Anyway, I'm rambling at this point. I'm just really excited that Dory looks nice. I'm gonna do the last coat of ceramic coating on this, and then we'll wrap up the video. Look at this, already it's beating up. This is so cool. I've never had my car do this before. she's beating water like nobody's business. Still looks a little janky in some places. I don't know, it's my first time doing that. I don't know. Detailing people, don't come after me, okay? Anyway, that's it for today's video. If you liked the video, make sure to like the video. If you really like the video, make sure to subscribe. I'm making a new video every single week. Thank you so much for spending your time watching this video, and I will see you next time. Peace.